So today we've brought in Sarah Hamilton, who's a kinesiologist and an osteopath in training. And she's now going to take us through some rules of thumb on how to keep good posture and how to Playpoi and be pain-free.
If we think about our posture as being a tensegrity model of architecture, we would know that we have compressive struts, so those are our bones, which help support our body weight against gravity, but also tensile structures, which help suspend the compressive struts up in different positions and up in air. So our bodies are more like a suspension bridge or a geodesic dome and less like a brick wall. And the more we can think about the suspension, the lighter we can be in our postures, and the more freer we can be in our movement. So Nick, I want you to be nice and relaxed. And then without really thinking about it, I want you to go what you think is good posture. Okay, so right away you can see Nick pulled his shoulders back and he arched his back and let his rib cage come out. So he's showing us that he uses his back muscles a lot to help stabilize, but really we want to get the abs dropping down from the front, gently opening the chest from the back. There you go. Yeah, and then that string suspending you from here. And when you're exploring these new postures, at first it's going to feel stiff and like you can't move. And then you want to explore simple movement. Walking is really, really great. And then going to your basic poi skills of maybe just simple swinging while holding that nice posture and catching yourself when you're doing your bad habit and being gentle with yourself and retraining how to go back to good posture.
And so I often tell people that if they could say their pelvis, think it's like a bowl of water and they're trying to not have the water spill. Because I know I do that. I'm always tilting like this, right? I think that's a good way to describe it?
Absolutely, yeah. I would go that way too. So commonly what we see is either what we call an anterior pelvic tilt, so that's all the water coming out the front, or we see totally flat. This is less common in standing posture, but it does happen. So yeah, you want to find that position in between the two. In order to find your good posture. Just always remember that this communicates with this. So you might correct one and find that the other one has sunken in somewhere else. So you have to find that balance between the pelvic sphere and your thoracic sphere, or your rib cage. Yeah. One of the things that's really important is that our shoulder posture is really dependent on what happens in our thoracic area. So that's everywhere where there's a rib. So think about your shoulder as being a suspended structure hanging off of your spine. It only really articulates as a joint with your central body right here. So it's dependent on all the balance of the muscles to find its posture. And it hugs the rib cage. So if you have, like Nick has, a flared rib cage, your shoulder is going to butt down against the ribs when you try to move down, and so it's not going to have its full range of motion, and it's going to start clicking and popping and making lots of uncomfortable sounds. So remember that your shoulder posture is very dependent on your spinal posture. So what I saw in some of the poi spinners was a habit of hunching the shoulders upwards when they're doing overhead movements, and so all of that involves having that sensation of lifting your sternum, dropping your rib cage, finding your neutral posture, and having a place for your shoulder blades to go while your arms go overhead. Sometimes you can think about connecting your shoulders with your opposite back pocket, so it's across in your back. So if you turn around this way and bring your arms overhead, and show me the mistake that you often see. Okay, now instead of having that nice that elevation, I want you to connect your right hip to your left shoulder and your left hip to your right, or your right shoulder to your left hip. And then right away that gives him some space for his neck and lengthen that area. So then you can do stuff with your head as you're moving as well. Yeah.
And I try to keep that even if I'm going through.
Absolutely. Yeah, and as you're doing that, drop your rib cage. So you probably saw that he lost a crease in his shirt because he was dropping his rib cage, and be relaxed in your knees. Yeah. Yeah. I caution with stretching, it's definitely going to help increase your range, but you don't want to stretch your muscles to the point where you have no strength in that position. So you want to try to, I like doing active stretching where, yes, you're putting it at a long range where you feel stretch, and then you're trying to get that muscle to contract very gently, right? There's a big risk for injury when the muscle is lengthened rapidly and then asked to contract. So stretching probably after your poi practice to just simply lengthen is ideal, but before your poi practice, doing some some long range strengthening exercises as part of your warm-up would be helpful. So if you want to get into that position, get there and see if you can't do some work there, so you are warming up the muscles and you're strengthening them at the same time. Some general guidelines are to, one, be gentle with yourself if you're trying to correct your posture, because your posture is a result of muscles that are tight and holding you there, muscles that are weak that aren't strong enough to hold you there, and also how your nervous system has organized the contraction of all these muscles. So it takes constant repetition in order to try to correct these things, so be gentle. Two, you want to always think about opening and lengthening and suspending, so you find ease in these postures rather than tightening and gripping and holding, because you don't want to become a stiff robot. And three, have fun with it. You want to, work once you find that posture that feels like it's good in terms of aesthetic, the way it looks, and biomechanically it's safe so you're not going to get injuries. Go back to your basic movements, those early first things that you first learned how to do, and practice those, because it's going to be hard to hold that new posture while working on another motor pattern. Yeah, so we were working with this, but if you want to do something more complicated, always coming back, and sometimes pause and go, oh, what am I doing? Correct. Okay, go back. And that just gives your brain a little bit of feedback that says, this is where my body is supposed to be. Remember this snapshot so you can get there next time. So we're going to work with Dawn on some little tips for her posture. So first thing we're going to look at, if we can face this way, what I noticed with Dawn is she has quite a bigger curve in her thoracic spine, so that's this area of her spine here. And in order to get her to open up her shoulders more, we need to get her to open up her front more. So Dawn, what I want you to think about is a little string suspending you from your breastbone. Yeah, good. And in that, I want you to let your shoulders relax down. Okay, so a lot of times people think, okay, I need to lengthen my spine and the whole shoulder girdle comes up, but let that go and really let it come from your center. So from here, good. And then at the same time, as you're thinking about being suspended from your breastbone, I want you to roll your shoulders down and back. Okay, good. Now think about lengthening both sides of your spine, roll your shoulders down and back. Good. Now relax into it. So ideally, you're not stiffening up as you're holding your posture. You're just trying to find a new way of suspending yourself. So one of the ways we can try, if we turn around and face this way, is as you lengthen from here, yeah, good. Lengthen from the top of your head as well. So from the back, lengthen the back of your neck, good. Now just try to hold that and let your arms swing. So starting with the simple movements first, so that you know that you're not so held in your rigid posture. It's nice and free and easy. And then every once in a while, gently come back and say, am I lifting from my breastbone and my shoulders rolling back? Yeah, that's good. How does it feel?
Yeah, actually relaxed.
Yeah, good. So then you can start doing more of your complex movements as you need to. And every once in a while, pause there and think open and retrain yourself that way. Yeah, good. Okay, good. Lengthening from here and extend your arms away from your body. Yeah, good. And then swing again. So then you do a couple free movements and then try the other side and pause, lengthen. Yeah, good. And as you're coming from all the way to the toes, so stay grounded but light. Yeah, good. So we're here with Benita to work on something subtle I noticed in her posture. She does pretty well in terms of how she holds her spinal curvatures, but she shifts all her weight onto her left foot when she does her spinning. And so one of the things that Benita needs to work with, and this can apply to daily life when you're brushing your teeth or when you're chopping food at the kitchen counter, is just being aware about where your weight bearing is happening. So in this posture here, I'm going to get you to face the camera so we can see, and just shake it all out. And then totally relax. Good. Okay, so I want you to think about shifting your rib cages both ways. So you're going to go right, left. Find the middle. Good. And then think about lengthening both sides of your rib cage. Yeah, both sides right in here. Good. Okay, and then from here, it's the same thing. You have to find freedom in that movement instead of holding it really, really tight. So you find that center point. So try to find it again without my help. Good. Lengthen just a little bit through here, not with the shoulder. There you go, with the rib cage. Good. Good. Now, and again, from here, you could start practicing just the beginning poi movements and seeing if you could always come back to that center place.
If somebody's actually got an injury,
Right.
they probably actually need to see somebody, right?
Well, absolutely. For every injury, there's a multitude of causes as well as a different healing rates, and so you always need to go get professional help to identify exactly what's wrong with yours. So just typing in shoulder injury into Google and looking up what exercises are prescribed, it could be actually something that's going to make your condition worse. Sometimes it helps, but it's good to get a professional opinion to see exactly what your body needs.
Awesome. So put it to use, and we'll keep putting more information on this on the site, and so we can be healthier. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.